Okay. All right. It says we are live. Finally, forever who is here. still here. Hi, everybody. Firstly, wanted to say welcome to the Owls August. This is our August live stream, end of live stream. We know we're having a bit late. We're sort of halfway through, nearly already September, but you know how life is, trying to organize these things. And we're sorry that we're late around this time, you know how life is. And we are unfortunately one host down. Naja will not be in this stream, so it is just me and Kat. So yeah, so bear with us for like a couple of seconds. I'm just going to tweet out that we're actually live, because I didn't do that beforehand. So why don't you, Kat, read the prompt that was for our August tour for last month, our little prompt, and what we were covering.
I sure can. So last month for August was our Bloodlines blog tour, and our Chief Creative Officer, Lynn, thought up this post for us, and it was, family means everything, or does it? This month we will be discussing the importance of family relationships in anime and pop culture. Family relationships include a child and his or her parents, sibling rivalries, adoptions, etc. Some questions about family that we will be contemplating on include how one's family shapes his or her identity, how do we define family, how does a broken household influence a person's view on family. We will be exploring these questions and types of relationships in this blog tour, so enjoy. So that was our prompt. And fun fact while Lita finishes her tweet, this was actually the first blog tour post that I did not do. I don't have a post for this one, guys. Like for me personally.
Oh yeah, you didn't, did you? I forget who actually had a post, and then who didn't.
Yeah, I did not do it this time. Not because I did not like this post. I actually thought this would be a really, really like cool one to do. But I was like so sick and nauseous and like dying with life.
I know, because for anyone that doesn't know, our lovely Kat is pregnant right now, so that would probably be the reason why. And let me tell you, folks, pregnancy isn't all it's cracked up to be. The whole truth.
Yes, last month I just like hit my limit, and then it was terrible. Like I was sick, and then my daughter got sick. And if, for those of you guys who don't know, I have a beautiful 4-year-old daughter, and at one point she's been like pretending to puke. Like she doesn't puke for real.
Let's just tell everybody, oh yeah, she's pretending to puke.
She just makes the noise because I'm throwing up so often. So she'll be doing something and she'll be like, oh, I feel sick. Blah, blah. Like she just does that. So one day we're sitting here, it was mine and my husband's like anniversary. So I was finally like feeling good. We were gonna take her to our grandma's and we were gonna do anniversary stuff. We were super excited. And Nadia's like laying down next to me and she turns to me and she goes, I feel sick. And I was like, yeah, okay, because I thought she was just faking like she usually does. And all of a sudden she's like, and she just pukes all over me, all over my hair, all over herself. And I was like, really? He was sick, everybody got sick, dog got sick. I was like, we're just this month isn't happening. This is not my month. Like, I'm just calling it.
It sounds like you had a very, very up and down month.
I was like, So I'm living vicariously through all of your guys' posts. Thank you all for participating, because I could not. This is all, your post is all I have right now.
That's all right. Look, sometimes life gets in the way like it usually does. Or I nearly forgot to sign up to whatever blog tour post previously I have. So how many weeks are you along now, Kat, by the way?
I am 20. So I'm halfway. I'm at my halfway point. Almost see the light at the end of the tunnel. So usually so as not to scare other people who someday want to have children, Normally, by the end of your first trimester, you are not throwing up. I just really like to take a challenge, apparently, and my body was like, what? You can do this for another few months. So I am on the abnormal scale. You wouldn't normally still be puking at this time. So for those of you that still think a baby is something for you, just know that it's not as horrible as I make it sound. I'm an anomaly. Usually you would be done by now.
Well, I think pregnancy is different for every like woman. Definitely it's different for like my supervisor who's pregnant right now, and she thinks it's, you know, just utter horrible pregnancy. So
that's how I am. Yeah, someone just asked, are you still feeling tired from work today? Yeah, like I'll tell people, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take a nap. And when I say a nap, I mean I'm gonna sleep for 4 hours. And people are like, that's not a nap, Katrina, you're just going to bed. And I'm like, but it's in the afternoon, so I feel like it's nap territory. I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah, 4-hour naps, I'm going with that. Like, that's a thing. That's a thing, right? People do that?
Yeah, definitely. You know, by the way, that Batman shirt you're wearing, I'm very sure you wore it in our last stream or the stream before that.
Really?
I'm very sure.
That would make me seriously so happy if I did. This is like one of my favorite. This is one of my like favorite shirts, and I had found it just like a few months ago, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I couldn't find this shirt. I can't believe I lost it. So I've been rocking it, and it's one of the few shirts I can still like fit into. I mean, it's stretching, I'll be honest. But I
can clearly see from here.
I'm like, this is like still happening.
So good. It's not. I'm sorry, folks. The real is, you know, when your chest gets bigger, so do your clothes stretch.
Right.
So
things are happening on this end. Thanks.
Oh dear. All right, we probably should get our August bog tour thing underway. And we have quite a few to get through. I forget. I'm gonna count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think the only person that didn't participate in our tour that was going to but didn't was our other YouTuber Gigi from Anime Palooza. She had live things going on, so it would have been 15, but it's 14. So we have 14 posts to get through. So we will try and make what we say short, well, not too long-winded, short and brief, to the point, because there was so many goddamn good posts this month, so many. And you know, I was like Naja. I read them all last minute. I'm telling you, I only read everybody's like 2 days ago. So that's how great my use of time is. All right, so the very, very first post in our tour who started us off, which is Taku. If Taku is here, because usually he's lying around somewhere. Usually somewhere. If Taku is here, but there's only like 3 people watching by now, which I can't blame. It's probably late for everybody where they are right now in America. But yes, Taku covered, to start us off, he covered the anime. Now, I've got to say this right. And if the light is shining off my glasses, by the way, guys, that's because like I'm looking at the post as I go through, because I'll just forget how to pronounce shit. So the anime is Hanazuka Ariha. It's by PA Works. It was one of PA Works' first sort of animes it was that they did. And I extremely enjoyed Taku's post on this series because I'm actually watching this series right now. And look, there is the English translation, which is better. It is actually called Blossoms for Tomorrow. That's much better. But yeah, I'm actually watching this series right now. I'm actually on episode 9 at the moment. It's like a slice of life show, and it's surrounded by this girl named Ohana, who is sent off to her mother's grandma's sort of to work at her inn. And because her mother's kind of this carefree spirit, got a new boyfriend, Ohana's just like whatever, you know, phase that we kind of all go through. And so she ends up working for her mum's grandma's inn. And I could automatically, probably from the first episode, see how family based this is going to be. And so far of watching this series, it's been really good so far. In episode 9, you get to see some real good sort of character growth of Ohana, because right now, for when she started out, was kind of didn't care, whatever, kind of bratty attitude. And slowly I anticipated that she would grow a bit more maturely. And some of the things that Taku talks about in his post is that she is all on her own. She has to, you know, make it on her own right now. She feels like Ohana only can rely on herself and no one else. You know, usually you like to rely on your parents, your mum, and she can't rely on anybody. When she goes into this inn, she's never met her grandma. Her grandma's like this really strict sort of parent, and we all like our strict parents. And you know, she has it really hard, and that is what the anime explores. It explores her relationship with her mum, and also you get to see the relationship between all the staff that work at the inn. And so far I've been really, really enjoying it. I've been sort of taking my time with it, slowly watching it, and this is a series I feel I want to just take it all in, because I feel Taku did a great representation of, you know, Ohana has to feel like she has to rely on herself, and it's kind of depressing. It is, honestly, he states. And that, you know, eventually I'm assuming towards the end of it, everything starts to sort of become good. And main reason Taku used this anime was because, you know, he states in his post, this anime walks us through the struggles of the worker class for a living girl in a somewhat broken home, which is what Ohana is in. She's sort of in a broken home, and trying to put like a broken home back together is, well, it's not easy. It's different for everybody. And so I would highly recommend definitely checking out this series. And yeah, that is all my thoughts on Taku's post. And for the sweet after treat that everybody's going to be having, usually I think last month, what did we have last month? Was it cheesecakes? Or was it cookies? I believe it was cookies. I think it was cookies. It was cookies.
Because we had the big conversation on oatmeal cookies.
Yes, it was cookies. So this time around we're doing donuts. So I decided donuts. So the donut Taku gets is one of my favorites. It's not my favorite, but he gets a sprinkled hundreds and thousands, if everybody has actually heard of that. You know, there's coloured sprinkles. In the UK, we call them hundreds of thousands. You get a hundred and thousands donut with some white icing, because it is the friggin' bomb, trust me. So that is what Taku gets. So, all right. So sorry, that was very long-winded explanation, and I said I wouldn't. So, all right. Over to you, Kat. Over to you.
Me, this is another, like, show that I hadn't seen, and honestly, I don't think I can, like, I'm, in general, not a super emotional person, but while I'm pregnant, I'm a very emotional soul. Like, things make me cry. I'm not gonna lie. Like, during my last pregnancy with Nadia, I cried during a Scooby-Doo episode because it made me sad that they always leave Shaggy and Scooby alone, even though they know they're afraid. Like, that was literally something that I had a moment about. So I decided, after, like, reading Taku's post, like, I was, like, literally, like, he's all alone. I can't watch it. I would have to take a minute before I could watch this show. But when I read through it, I mean, like, I do feel like I feel like this would be a show that I would want to watch, and I like this idea of, you know, she's like feeling like she's, you know, kind of like out on her own, because I do feel like sometimes, like, you know, if you come from a family where it is kind of like this working class family and everyone's kind of like having to do their own things and everyone's kind of struggling, everyone's still trying to do their best as they can, but they're just in these difficult positions, like you are going to end up becoming like a bit more like self-reliant and stuff. So I hope with this show, like towards the end, you know, everybody comes together as a family. But yeah, I was totally, when I was like just reading it, and then it made it even worse because her name is Ohana. So then I started thinking of Lilo and Stitch, and then I, like, by the end of this post, by the end of reading of it, I was literally just like, Ohana means family, and like crying. So that was, I like this post talk who always does a good job, and yeah, that's where I was in life. I was just like, man, I just want this poor girl to like find some stability, like by the end of this post.
Yes,
like, really
yes, that is exactly what I'm even feeling right now. Well, I'm watching this series right now myself, so
I just want her to find, Ohana, like not in herself but in others.
No, mum just annoys me like right now.
I was reading some of those things, and like that was like another thing. Like I was reading kind of his descriptions on the different family members, and I was like looking at like the mom's description. I'm like, you need to get your life together, lady. You got a child.
You got a child.
Right? I like, get it together. So that was really how like I was feeling with this post, but as usual, he did, you know, just a lovely job. I always enjoy his writings, and yeah, and I enjoyed this one too.
I know they're always so poetic. They are.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I did.
All right. Next up is something that I think Kat is probably more knowledgeable on than I am. That's for certain. It's a certain series that she likes. Based on Naruto. And we had our member Brandon. This was his second blog tour with us, and he covered the relationship between Itachi and Sasuke from Naruto. So I'm going to let you give your thoughts first, Kat.
So I was obviously in love with this post, like from the get-go, because I am.
I instantly thought of you when I was reading this.
Yeah, I'm like a huge Naruto fan, and I have like obviously watched all the series. I have rewatched it more times than I care to admit, considering that there's a bajillion episodes. And I plan on rewatching some more. Like, I'm in it. And I did, like, if, you know, like, if I was going to do this, like, if I would have done this post for this month, this was actually one of the things that I was considering doing, was something dealing with, like, Itachi and Sasuke's relationship. Because if you are unfamiliar with the show, these, like, in the beginning of the show, you think that Itachi is, like, this really horrible person. You find out that he has, you know, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, you find out that he has killed his entire clan, and the only person he left surviving was his little brother Sasuke. And when his like little brother kind of asks him why, he's basically like, you're not worth killing, like live and get stronger, and someday like come find me. And so you think he really just let Sasuke live just to kind of be like a jerk. And then later, as like the story kind of progresses, you find out that, you know, the reason why he did it was to save the Leaf Village, and at the same time, it was the only way that he could also save his brother. So in order to like save his brother, he was willing to kill everybody he'd ever like known and loved, just so that way his brother would still be able to survive. And then he still continues to like be the enemy of the Hidden Leaf while secretly finding information for them to keep like the leaf like going. And he plays like this double agent to a T, until pretty much like allowing Sasuke to come kill him, while at the same time making sure that, you know, he helps him throughout like the end. And it's like this story of brotherhood is just, I don't know, for me, I'm like I can remember the first time the storyline was revealed, and just like all just like the feels basically of being like like how cool the character of Itachi was, like how much he valued family and then also valuing, you know, his brother and then trying to balance that with his duties to like the hidden leaf and to his, you know, and like in a way we could kind of think of it as like the hidden leaf, like it's their village, but it's kind of like their country, like his duty to like his country in a sense, and balancing those two things out. So I thought that was like really cool, and it was like a nice walk down memory lane in Brandon's post to kind of like look at the things that Itachi went through and the things that Sasuke went through, because, you know, Sasuke goes through like a lot of emotions of like trying to, you know, be the same as his brother, trying to get his brother to acknowledge it in him, then going to like, I'm just going to kill this man because he thinks he took everything from him. And then in the end being like, oh my God, my brother was probably like one of the greatest shinobi that has ever like lived in our village, and you know everyone thinks that he's like this terrible guy. So I mean it's just like this crazy kind of like journey for them, and I think, you know, a lot of those, I mean I wouldn't say that all of us like have family members who have like been like that like extreme, but I think we have family members where we've been on this kind of a crazy dynamic with, where we can relate to the Sasuke and Itachi in that sense of just getting different perspectives and things like that. So I was like, sweet, this post was awesome, and now I want to rewatch Naruto again.
Of course you do. Look, I'm like you. I've not seen all of Naruto myself. I've said that previously. And I think I've only got up to Naruto, it's a bit after dealing with Zabuza, and I believe it was, what was his name? Haku, was it? That one of the his
so you're actually pretty early in this series.
I'm so goddamn early. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, honestly, I do want to watch Naruto now for the stupidest reason though. You know that there's that new series Boruto that is currently airing right now. The most recent episode where I saw that Sakura and Sasuke got together. Sorry for spoiling for everybody. I'm just like, what the hell? They actually got together and had a child. I'm like, what? I nearly stopped myself from watching that one episode just with them two in it. I'm like, how does that function? How does that function? I'm like, oh my God. So I want to watch Naruto now because of that.
Just to see how this happens.
It's so stupid. You know, I was very skeptical about the Boruto series coming to be. Like now, of how the story is like after, I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna go nowhere. And I'm like, oh, things I've heard about it recently. I'm like, okay, this really doesn't sound that bad, honestly. You know, I'm not saying I feel like it's gonna be as great as Naruto, but maybe it'll be something special in its own right. I mean, like, you never know. But anyway,
right.
So it was great. It was great that Brandon covered Itachi and Sasuke because, you know, most of the time when I saw Sasuke, you know, had this unreeling hatred for his brother, you know, killing his family, killing the villagers, blah, 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 the whole village. And reading this post, it really didn't spoil anything for me. I've been spoiled on a lot of things to do the Naruto series. Not everything, but that, you know, he really had like good intentions, and, you know, pretty much his brother Itachi was, you know, his back was up against the wall basically. So I think I can't really like say too much on the relationship between Itachi and Sasuke more because I've, you know, not watched too much of the series, but it was great. It was really great how Brandon broke it up, of how, you know, Itachi dealt with it. And I'm just going to ignore the bit where it says Itachi's sacrifice. I actually deliberately didn't read that bit because I didn't want to be like spoiled too much.
I didn't spoil it that much.
Yeah, but, you know, for anyone that likes, you know, Naruto and that, you know, definitely go check out Brandon's post. I realized every tour we've done now, I've not said recommend go reading other people's posts, but yes, you should read it if you really like Naruto, definitely. So, Brandon, What donut will you get? There's many kinds of donuts. Many, many, many. So I am going to give you are going to get a custard donut. Not because I don't like custard donuts. If they're like vanilla custard donuts, then I like them. Okay, so you like get a vanilla custard donut. You get a vanilla custard because I like vanilla custard donuts, but I hate custard just in general. That's so pointless me mentioning that. But anyway, next one moving along to, we are diverging into the direction of Final Fantasy. And I was kind of surprised about this because this is actually something I've seen related to this franchise. And it is our fellow member, Matt in the hat, because he's in the hat all the time. It means it goddamn means nothing. So Matt covered, I'll get Kat to start off, but yeah, he covered the movie, the Final Fantasy Advent Children. So I will get you to start us off on this, Kat. Blah. Losing my train of thought words.
So this is like, I actually do enjoy the Final Fantasy that franchise, and I like enjoy this show. And what's kind of like interesting about Matt's is he kind of starts it off, he talks about Advent Children, but he starts it off kind of like talking about like families in general, and he talks a little bit about like Full House and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and just like how families can be kind of different and dynamic, and they're not always, these perfect stereotypical cookie cutter families, which is true, especially in, I guess I don't know, I can't speak for other countries, and Lita, you might know this for your country, but for like America, our divorce rate is actually becoming fairly high lately. So it's really, really common here to have either like single family household, or to have like blended families where it's like stepmom or stepdad, or this or that or whatever. So that's actually becoming more and more common for like America. And so I thought that was like an interesting setup, because I just wasn't expecting that. Like when I saw Advent Children, I was like, Advent Children, and then it kind of went into these other descriptions, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? Of course, he had to put in that video of Will Smith and his dad, and they have like a moment where he asks like, why doesn't his dad want him? And that always makes me cry. I'll be honest, that scene makes me cry even when I'm not crying. That's just a darn good scene. And then he kind of gets into like Advent Children in that movie. He does a pretty good job about trying to make it kind of as spoiler-free as possible. Basically, the premise of the movie is Cloud has been like, that's the main character, has been infected by this virus, and he's trying to find a way to like help these kids, and he doesn't really want any help while he's doing this. He's decided that he's just gonna do things on his own based on some personal stuff that's happened to him in the past. And with this, kind of as this kind of goes on, Matt makes the connection that Cloud could kind of be viewed as the father. Like, he's not always there. In a sense, kind of like an absent father, in a sense he's not always there, but they kind of like has like Tifa as the mom, but he cares. He wants to do the right thing for his families and things like that, but he also has like this whole other kind of bigger picture thing to look at, and because of this, he's not always the family man, so to speak, as he could be. And in that sense, Tifa just kind of has to let that go and just kind of be like, I guess this is the way our lives are going to be. And his kids kind of have to accept that, and that can be like a really hard thing for the kids. Hold on for a second. Naja, what do you want?
That's what I tell you something. It's time you go to sleep.
Not quite yet. Will you go by Dada?
But I just want to watch a movie.
Okay, I'll be in a second. I love you.
I just love you though.
When I'm done.
I don't want you.
Okay, wait for you to this.
Oh,
I put my ear.
little girl is so cute.
Sorry, everybody.
All right, don't apologize. It's all right. We were just saying that you have. It's all right. We were talking about family right at the beginning of this.
Up. But yeah, so he like realizes he can't always, you know, be there, and Tifa kind of is like, you know, she's kind of accepting of this to a point, but she realizes that like at some point she's kind of like, listen, like you can't do everything by yourself. I get where you're coming from. I get what you're trying to do, but we need to be sometimes you need help, basically, and like that's what like we're here for, and things like that. So like, I mean, I really like that movie, and I've always kind of liked that scene between Tifa and Cloud, and I think that it's true that, you know, sometimes I think as a family we think we can just do everything ourselves, but you know, we can't always, and that's what family is there for, is just to help us out and be there for us when we need it. And it doesn't necessarily mean like our actual, you know, for sure blood family or things like that, but it's the people that we have grown to bond with. So that was kind of how I felt about Matt's and all things Matt said.
I feel like that's all right. I was sitting here listening. I fully agree with all of what you said. I saw this movie, Final Advent Children. I saw this a very, very long time ago when I was like, I think when I first moved to Australia. I think I was about like 16. God, that takes me back, 16. And you forget what it's like to be 16. And honestly, that was one of the very first anime movies I ever watched. And it was the first I'd ever heard about Final Fantasy. I never played in the video games. I've never had the pleasure. I feel bad that I've not played any of them. I mean, it's not saying like it's not too late to not play them. But you know, I got a PS3 for now. Honestly, that was one of the reasons I got a PS3, because I really wanted to play one of the Final Fantasy games. I can remember which one it is now. It's gone off the top of my head. But I really, really love that movie. An old friend introduced me to it, and I really like the storyline, and I really like Tifa and Cloud in particular. I see why so many people just ship them to death, honestly. But then there's this other girl that appears. What's her name? Aerith. Is it Aerith? I believe it's I believe it's Aerith. But anyway, we're not here to talk about ships. But Matt always is so thorough with his posts. He always, first, when he starts off his post, he talks about something relating back to real life. Talking about, you know, like the family TV shows that he talks about. I've only seen a bit of the Fuller House. I grew up with the Fresh Prince one. It used to air quite a bit in the UK. Yeah, it did, and taking me back again. But yeah, you know, Cloud in the movie, you know, just wanted to do everything on his own. He's got this he does give off this very atmosphere of loner in a way. It's not in a bad sense. It's more of, you know, he's just very solitary, or like feels like he can do it like on his own. And like you said, Kat, I did like that scene between Tifa and Cloud. I've never forgotten it, honestly. I haven't. It was a really nice.
Done with your shit.
Yeah, and I'm like, after I watched the movie, I'm like, why is this not an anime series? Because I would love that. I'm like, if ever there was the day that Final Fantasy turned into an anime, I might die. I probably would, and so probably would a lot of other people. I'm like, it would be. I'm like, why hasn't it been done? I don't know. It should be. It's never too late. It should be. But Matt also openly talks about that he's Christian, that he believes in God, he believes in Jesus, and that that, you know, his Christianity is very, very important to him. And, you know, I respected that he was very, very open about it. And that is something I've known about Matt for a long time, knowing him. It was, you know, Christian and that, you know, I've a lot of, my class as I am Christian, but there's only so many certain things that I like believe in to like a certain extent. I do. But that's why I could sort of sympathize with Matt. I could, and that, you know, I'm very much a very, very family person. I am. So I think Matt did a fantastic job on his post as usual. He's always early. He's always early doing his post, isn't he, Kat? He beats everybody else.
Right? Like, he's like, I got it ready, and I'm like, oh, there are another get on him. Like,
well, time to find out what.
Hey, your post is due, and I'm like,
I know. I'm
do a 24 hours, Kat. Get it together.
I've still got time for mine this month. But yeah, let's see. Donuts. What donuts will Matt get? I don't know why I dish out these sweet treat things. I don't know. I just do anyway. So Matt, I think there's so many donut choices. So I'm gonna guess that hopefully you'll like a chocolate donut. So you get a chocolate donut for your post, Matt. Everybody loves a chocolate donut, so I'm going to be wanting a donut after this stream. I'm so going to, I know.
Oh my God.
All right. Oh, all right. Moving on. Now we're on to our next one, which we're only on like post 4. Oh my goodness. So many. And the next one we're going to be talking about is a tearjerker one that everybody knows in this community. If they don't. Of course, something about Lynn covered this certain anime where it's just, it's one of those animes where you'll be told you need a box of tissues. It is Clannad. So do we really, let's just skip this one. Let's just skip this one.
All right.
Let's just skip it. Okay, I know we can't skip it. Like if I start talking about it, I might be like, yeah, so it's really sad. That's all that really needs to be said. No, but I'll get you to start us off, Kat, on what you thought of Lynn's post.
This was actually another post that I considered doing as well, and I would like the reason why I was like this would have Clan would have been a really good one for this one, and then I was like but I already used this for a post, and that's why I thought of like maybe Naruto or something like that. But I do love this series, and I loved how basically kind of what Lynn did was show how just like the different families that we see in this series, and just kind of goes through kind of discussing, she starts off talking about how, the idea of the perfect family and how that's just not really a thing. And I think her second point, I'm going to pull it up, was something about, I'll look at my notes. How you're just because you're born into a bad family doesn't mean you have to act like them, and then kind of talking about a kid's dream becomes their parents' dream, and parents' love was forever, and then her fifth one was this how strong a sibling bond is, and it was really cool because she used all the different characters to kind of explore each of these thoughts. And each of them were, they are, this is why I really love this show, is because you do see all these different sides of the family. You have, Tomoya, who he's kind of the main guy character, and his dad became an alcoholic, and I think he gambles. I can't really quite remember, but after his mom passed away. So it's just him and his dad, and his dad is just, not really there for him, and actually ends up kind of breaking his arm one day, and just kind of a drunken rage kind of a thing. And this meant that Tomoya couldn't play basketball anymore, which was his thing. So, you know, not only did he have like a father who like really wasn't there for him, but his father kind of, the first dream that Tomoya really had and that way of trying to like get out, his father took that away from him as well. And so this creates obviously this huge strain on their relationship. And so you have this, you know, family, quote unquote, who is not even really a family anymore. You know, they're going through all this stuff. But then it kind of like goes to show like later in life, like spoilers, sorry if you haven't seen the show, but spoilers, Tomoya finds someone that I won't say who he finds someone that he really loves, and they have a daughter, and she ends up dying during childbirth. And for a while, it looks like Tomoya's just going to fall into that same pattern that his dad did. You know, he's an absent father, he's not being there for his daughter, but finally he comes to realize like he doesn't have to be the same way as his father was, and he can be there for his daughter, and he realizes that he needs to step up to the plate, basically, on kind of showing again, like, just because you come from, you know, just because he had a poor father doesn't mean that he has to become one. And then it ends up actually kind of bringing him and his dad together in a sense, because Tomoya kind of realizes like the pain his dad was going through and understands that even though the actions his dad did were completely 100% wrong, he can recognize like his dad was going through some stuff. Now when we're talking about like, you know, the child sacrifice, like you know, your children's dreams become your dreams, that's something that I can relate to. I think a lot of times people, I remember before my husband and I had our first daughter, people were always like, you know, oh, your life is going to change so much, you know, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, if you, this is how I feel about it. If you really want to be a parent, yes, your life is going to change, but for you, it changes for the better. So it's like, can Adam and I, that's my husband, do we make like last minute plans? Do we get to go out, you know, go into the clubs every night or go on bar hopping or whatever it is? No. And at one point, did we do stuff like that when we were younger? Yes. But once we decided to have a child, it was like her needs and her wants and her dreams, those became ours. So when somebody says like, oh, you want to go out tonight? And we're like, oh, no, we can't. You know, we got Nadia, we're doing Disney movie night. And they're like, oh, yeah, that must like really suck that you can't do stuff like that anymore. I mean, for us, it's like, not really. It doesn't really suck because, you know, Nadia wants to have a Disney princess marathon. That's what she wants to do right now, and it makes her happy. And seeing her happy makes us happy. So I feel like once you become a parent, like, yeah, you know, your perspective changes. You begin to really want the things that they want. And then like with like the parents' love and, you know, the sibling bond, like me and my sister are super, super close, so I can definitely relate to that. Like it doesn't matter, you know, when she was in Spain or when she was in Europe or wherever it was.
Spain?
Like we were still... Yeah, she did a lot of traveling abroad in her college years.
Nice.
So I mean, we still like talked all the time. You know, I have a half brother who's older than me, and so he always lived with his mom. But we would see each other for the summer, and anytime we saw each other, it was like no time had passed at all because we were just really excited to be family. So I thought that this was a cool post, and I liked the direction Lynn took with it because, again, I wasn't expecting her to break it down into those, like, 5 parts. And I thought that was really, really cool. And I was like, oh, I just love when people in the Owls community, like, surprise me with their posts, you know, where I see, like, the title of it, and I see that, like, you know, I saw what anime she was doing, and I thought, oh, I know what this is going to be about. And then I go into it, and it's, you know, she just, like, blows my mind, and it's completely different than you know, she sets it up differently than I would have imagined. And I was like, oh, Lynn, you're such a good writer. Like,
what are you talking about? She's a terrible writer.
Right? Like,
I'm joking.
And I love that, like, it was something that I had considered doing it, and she just did something, like, I'm glad I did it because she did something that I would not even have thought of. Like, I was like, Lynn, what a cool idea. So I thought this was a really, really awesome post to read, and I thought she did a really good job with it. As usual.
What are you talking about? She didn't do anything perfect. That's all right. She'll get me for that later. I knew she would, honestly. I always say, like, oh, I know someone's going to pick a certain anime or genre they're going to talk about, and I knew instantly Lynn was going to pick Clannad because her avatar gives it away, and personally, I know how much she loves that goddamn show because it's the only anime she owns a physical copy. So, but I really, really enjoyed Lynn's posts. I had a fair idea of how she might break it down because, again, like you said, Clannad does cover a lot of different aspects when it comes to family.
Yep.
And I liked how she broke it down. She's so clever. I'll admit she is clever with her words. She's a lot of, yes, I'll say she's a lot of sort of the inspiration back when she was my editor. That's funny to say. She used to be my editor. That's right, when I used to do some freelance writing for another anime site. And yeah, she was my editor. And definitely she pushed me in the right direction. Definitely, she influenced that. I've never told her that, so she probably will find out once she, watches this later. But yeah, like I like how she, broke it down. She's very clever with her wording, and it covered all the aspects of what Clannad is about. And for that reason, she gets my second favorite donut that I love. I barely have it anymore because it's so freaking bad for you, which is, the classic jam-filled donut, because who doesn't love a jam-filled donut? So I love those. I had so many as a kid. Maybe that was the reason I was partly fat.
You like the jelly ones and I don't like the jelly ones, but I like the custard ones and you don't like the custard ones. Like me,
you do. I love the jelly filled ones. Jelly filled ones are always good. So you get a jelly filled one. We
always get donuts with each other because we'll never choose each other's donut. Like I'll be like, you want my donut?
We'll never agree on donuts or anything. We never agree on anything, cat. We'll agree on zero.
Perfect.
All right, so that is thoughts on Lynn's post. So who is next in the ballpark? It is Random Gauge, which is known as Moonid. I believe this is Moonid's second or third blog tour with us, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm very sure. And they covered an anime that has got, well, I say anime, but there is a lot of controversy over it because if it is actually considered an anime or not. Which is the series? Yes, which is the series Ruby. Now, Ruby. Fun fact: Ruby is technically an animated series and is produced by Rooster Teeth. If nobody's ever heard of them, and I will get Kat to start us off, giving her thoughts on Moonid's post.
So this one, I actually know what's weird is I didn't realize that there was a controversy for this as far as anime or non-anime until like later. Because when I saw it, I thought anime because of the style that it's drawn in. You know what I mean? Like it is like a bit different, but I feel like it still holds to the foundations, I would say, of what I would consider. So I was like, then you go online and you say something, people are like, it's or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize your life depended on like.
People get so dramatic.
This is actually on mine. This is one of my shows that is literally in my instant queue. Like I am getting ready to watch this, so I had to be kind of careful when I was like reading this because I do really want to watch this show, and especially because what really got me to want to watch the show was actually the soundtrack. So it plays on my Pandora playlist, a lot of the songs from here, and I'm like, oh, this is a nice soundtrack. But I read through her posts, even though I was like worried that it might, like I was like, oh, please don't spoil everything for me. Luckily, it doesn't really, which was good. It kind of just gives like a good overview. Yeah, like I was like, gives a good overview of kind of like what's going on with the show. And kind of like they took it in the direction of like how family can kind of become like a source of strength and kind of like the relationship between mother and daughter. So at the beginning, so spoiler, I think this is kind of I don't know if this is a spoiler or not because I haven't seen the show. this might be something that's mentioned like right away, but I guess like before at the beginning, Ruby's mom is already dead, and so she's kind of just trying to like live her life, but she decides to, you know, go for her dreams in a way, and her stepsister becomes kind of like a role model for her. And Ruby kind of decides that she wants to like be like her mom, and her mom becomes more of like a kind of like this achievable goal kind of thing. Like she always has her mom kind of in mind, and she like lets her know all the things that's going on in her life. And even though Summer's not there, it's like she's still present in the show, I get the feeling of, because it's still for Ruby's kind of there. I kind of thought that it might have a similar vibe, and anybody who's seen the show can correct me. It sounds kind of like she has a similar vibe as Toro Honda does in Fruits Baskets with her mom.
Yes.
Where like her mom's not actually like there alive, but like I would consider Toro's mom a big character of Fruits Basket, because Toro talks about her a lot, and like the choices Toro makes are really influenced by like her experiences with her mom, and what she kind of thinks that her mom would approve of and like, and things like that. So when I was reading this post, I kind of got that same vibe. Is that correct? Like, anybody who's seen the show, would you say that that's kind of what's going on there?
Yeah, I think so. I agree. That's instantly what I thought when I was reading Moon's post on it. I thought of Toru from Fruits Basket.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought of that, and I do think, you know, just kind of when we think about how our parents like influence us and things like that, I feel like this is something that we can relate to. I honestly think that this is kind of a universal thing where our parents do influence us, whether for better or for worse, kind of a thing. I mean, I have friends who, because of certain things their parents have done, they will never, you know, they're like, I will never do this, or I will never do that because, you know, my mom did that or my dad did that, and I used to like hate that, or whatever, X, Y, and Z. You know, in that same token, you know, me and my mom have a pretty close relationship, where if I'm going to do something and I don't think that she would necessarily like it, you know, I'll tell her about it and be like, this is what I decided to do. But it's like her opinion really does mean like a lot to me. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, oh, like, even though I'm 27 years old and a mother on my own right, there's still times when I do something, if I don't think my mom is going to think that that's like a good thing, that I'm still kind of like, oh, I feel nervous telling you this. Like, I hope you think this was a good idea. So I feel like that's something that we can all relate towards that, for better or for worse. So I really, really want to watch this show, Lita. Like,
well, why don't you watch it then?
I started One Piece. Did I tell you that? I did.
What? Hang on, what did you tell me?
I started One Piece.
Oh yeah, I saw the great announcement.
Yeah, it is a journey. Like, it is a journey, that show. There's a lot there.
Oh my god. Well, I'm watching nothing new. I'm just rewatching Inuyasha right now.
I saw that you were, and I seriously, I honestly, that was one of my first animes, and so I always have a soft spot for it. So I like love that you're rewatching it. It makes me want to rewatch it, and I'm like,
no, that's why I wrote that post the other day. I was like, I'll scrap this old post and I'll write this one.
I need to keep focused on what I'm trying to do, but I'm like, I see your stuff about Inuyasha, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to watch this.
I know, it's terrible. I was watching two shows that one after review and the other is ongoing. And yeah, I don't know why. A stupid Twitter video is the reason I ended up starting to rewatch Inuyasha right now. It's just good to revisit your old roots, which is what I think. So, it's, yeah. But, so with Moonid's post, I liked her title, actually, A Meeting Between Roses, because it made me very curious. But the series Ruby, I've actually watched probably the first couple of episodes, but this is a really long time ago. I don't remember much of it. I'll honestly be honest, I didn't like it. from like the first 2 episodes. Like when I say I didn't like it, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get into it. It was nothing to do with the animation or anything. I find the animation style very interesting. I don't know. It was just, it was very slow, and I think my attention span back then was not as great as it is kind of now when I give things more of a chance. But I liked how Mooney talked about the relationship mother and daughter between her deceased mum, and is like telling her all these things that happen and stuff. Honestly, I'll be honest, I lost this is not my mum, but I lost my nan back in 2013. She had advanced lung cancer. It was one of them things where it's too late to do anything. And she had been, it was, and I won't go into like any more detail, but there was a funeral over back at old home, I call it, in the UK, and it kind of made me sad that I wasn't able to be there for it. And honestly, I probably would be one of those people that would probably go to her grave and probably just stand there and waffle on to yourself, where other people will probably look at you and be like, yeah, that person's crazy. But sometimes I'll say aloud to my mum certain things that have happened since then. I'll say, Nanny would I call her Nanny. I wouldn't call her Nan. I always used to call her Nanny. I'd be like, oh yeah, Nanny would really like him, and Nanny would probably be proud of this. And I was very close with my Nan. I was the closest out of all of anyone in my family. Of course, I'm close with like my mum, dad, and my sister, but my Nan, it was different. It was, and it still bugs me today that maybe one day if I get a chance to go back over to old home, the UK, I'll I do want to go visit her grave. I do, honestly. Not for the purpose, I want to go over there and just do that and then come home. That sounds stupid. No, I want to visit all other family, but I really related to in that sense with Moonid's post I did. It made me think about that, and I hadn't thought about that in a very long time. So I have to commend Moonid for, bringing up some old things that you feel like you forgot about, and where you kind of like put it in the back of your mind. So for that reason, let's see, what donut is Moonid gonna get? So I think you're gonna get a apple crumble donut, because I've tried one. They are amazing. They are amazing. There's this like donut chain called Krispy Kreme here. I'm not sure if it's over where you are.
I love Krispy Kreme.
Yeah. It took forever for it to come over to freaking Australia. Like even where I live, there is a Krispy Kreme literally 5 minutes down the road from me. It's amazing. So I tried with it. Like I remember I tried one of the apple crumbles, and it was just so lovely. It wasn't so overly sickly, because I do find some of the donuts like a little bit like overly sickly, but I really like their apple crumble. So that is what Moonid gets. That's another one of my favorites. So yes, Krispy Kreme. I mean, do you still? I mean, you can't really eat Krispy Kreme, can you?
I totally have to sometimes. I think like that's been like terrible. Like with my first daughter, I was like so particular with what I was like eating, and it was just like fruits, vegetables, like strictness. I didn't like fast food. No, caffeine wasn't touching it. Like it was just like super strict. And this one, I think because I've been so like I was sick with Nadia, but this has been like even worse. That I'm like literally like if I have a moment where I'm like hungry, whatever's in reach, I'm like, oh my god, I need it. Like I need
one taco. Go Taco Bell.
A stranger could be walking by with a donut. I just like smack it out their hand and be like, I'm pregnant.
All right. Okay, the next one that we'll be discussing is a very interesting turn. A couple of members last month, thought outside the box. They did. Yeah. So this one is from Rye from Rise Anime Blog, and she covered a little cartoony show called Steven Universe. Now, I'll get you to give us your thoughts first on Steven Universe. Oh, Rise post. Sorry, Kat.
All right, so I have not seen the show, but I have it on good authority that I'm really supposed to see it. But so my sister Tori actually happened to be like a huge fan of this show. So I actually think she would really, really enjoy this post. I should send it to her now that I think about it. But she talks about, or Rye talks about, just kind of the diversity of the family in this show. Kind of makes a point of how, even though, like I mentioned earlier in this stream, you know, coming from an American perspective, the idea of like the diverse family with, you know, not necessarily that very stereotypical cookie cutter mom, dad, everybody's living together and that's just it. That's not necessarily what we're seeing a lot in America right now. You know, we have these different types of families, and so the media kind of here is kind of playing a bit of catch up. So we're starting to see more diverse families in our media, but it's not super norm. And so she talks about Steven Universe because it is kind of a diverse family. You have the kid Steven. His dad is kind of like, well, his mom passed away, but she's still there in spirit, I guess. So he still kind of like talks to her and chats with her and stuff, but she's not like, that's not who he really like lives with. And then his dad is there, and it's kind of like one of those things where he lives close by, and he probably like sees his dad like on the weekend, that kind of stuff. But he's not always necessarily there for Steven as far as like living with him and all of those things kind of go, which is, it happens, you know, like this is something that really happens. And then another kind of interesting thing about the show is kind of like the skin color and kind of sexuality of everybody. So the gems, which is kind of like this, I guess for lack of a better term, I would say species, it sounds like, that he like lives with, like another race kind of, if you will. They're all like different colors, and so there's tons of different colors for them because the crystal gems aren't human. So they're just like, again, kind of like this species kind of a thing. And then the crystal gems can also like fuse together to become one person. So one of the characters is actually two girls kind of fused together. They love each other and they want to be together all the time. So then they join into this new form, this garnet form, even though they're actually two separate people, like Ruby and Sapphire. So that's kind of cool to see that. So these are like these characters, these women are actually the people that Steven is being raised by. So he's being raised basically by a lesbian couple, which again is not something that you generally see in our media now. We're getting better about it, but you certainly don't always see this on like a cartoon show or like a kid's show. So that's kind of like a cool thing about that. I do like the showing of the different families. My parents were divorced, and my dad was in the military, and both my parents were at one time. That's how they met. But my dad was in the military, so we lived with our mom. So he was always being like deployed and things like that. So we didn't see him very often. And then when he was there, it was great. But I think I could kind of relate to the show in the sense of like my dad. We always knew that my dad loved us. We always knew that he wanted to be there for us. But when you're deployed, you're deployed. Like there's really no like saying like, oh hey, I'm supposed to be at my daughter's 8th birthday party. You know what I mean? It's like, sorry, I have to go to Venezuela. It is what it is. So I can kind of relate to that idea of like, you know, kind of relating to the dad who's not always necessarily there in the home. And then again, my family wasn't the stereotypical family either because I was being raised by my single mom. So like again, seeing these portrayals on TV, I feel is kind of cool for somebody who, you know, again, I didn't have that stereotypical family So seeing like on TV and stuff when I was younger, you wouldn't have seen a show like this when I was a kid. I think it would have been really cool to see a show like this. So I'm glad that like my daughter can see shows like this now that she's growing up. So I think that's really cool. And that's how I feel about this show. Take it away, Lita.
What am I taking away?
Take away your thoughts on the show.
What are you talking about? I don't have any thoughts. All I'm thinking about right now is donuts. No. Joking. Rise Post, I always enjoy Rise Post, and this was no exception again. She always smashes it out of the park, in my opinion. And Steven's Universe, I'm going to be honest, like I really didn't know much about it. I've never seen it. It's not something that it's not something I really want to actually watch. That's just a, personal thing. But I know so many people that love it, and now it's got its own like little fandom going now. But I heard like a lot of things about it. I've heard a lot of things about it beforehand before I even read Rise Post, which was, it is very diverse in, such things as, like as in color to people, and also with the thing that I get, confused with what the syllables actually are. Oh, sorry, it's it is LGBT. So it deals with, a lot of skin color and sexuality, and it is like this little, it's like this little weird world to me, in a way. It's not like in like a bad sense. I mean, the character, I'd say like the design of the characters and everything is, it is quite interesting. So I did enjoy Rise Post, and she seemed to focus a lot on a character known as Stephen, and seeing this boy Stephen, has got some of the typical sort of things that sort of happen in family, that that his mother passed away, he's only got his dad, and that it seems the connection with his dad is kind of missing, and that it embodies like another important theme for parentless children. So it covers a lot of deep themes, it does. So I really enjoyed Rise Post, and for that reason, let's see, gets a coconut donut, because I found it was just, a simple, straightforward post. And that's kind of what I like half the time, simple, straightforward posts. So she gets coconut donuts. I'm sure you can eat coconut donuts, can't you, Kat? You can eat coconut donuts?
I mean, that's a fruit, right? That's got to be healthy for you.
Yeah, I've had one before. It's very interesting. It's got a really like sort of very mild, sweet taste to it. It does. All right. So the next person that's up is his first blog tour with us, which was last month. He recently joined our group as well, which is Scott from Mechanical Anime Reviews, and of course he covers something that is very, very close to my heart, basically. He covers Gundam 0079. To do with family complications. So, Kat, what did you think of Scott's first blog tour post with us?
Was swimming. I thought it was like a really come straight out the gate with. This is one of those shows that I still haven't watched, that has like a pretty big following. I liked it because it was kind of one of those things where like I read through it, but I don't feel like I necessarily, like if I watched this show, like anything was going to be completely ruined for me. Do you know what I mean? So for those of you who haven't seen this show, don't fret about reading this post, because like I said, I kind of feel like when I finished watching, I didn't feel like he'd given away all the plot. But he's like what he talks about with this post and with the show is kind of this dysfunctionality within this show and their different characters. I wrote it down where he ended his post saying how this show is both heartbreaking and heartwarming when you look at their family dynamics, and I think that is a perfect example of families in general. Again, there's just really no such thing as this idea of this completely perfect family, or this idea of these completely perfect parents. My day job, I actually work with families, and I teach parenting classes, and I do a lot of like outreach programming and things like that. And you can just try to be as strong of a family as you can be. And yes, there are certain things that you can make it so your family is stronger, but at the end of the day, we're all going to make mistakes. And we are, like, I think every family has these heartbreaking moments, and they have these heartwarming moments. And the only thing, like, for me as a parent that I can, like, hope for, like, my, like, goal with my own children is, like, oh man, I really hope my heartwarming experiences outlive these heartbreaking experiences. So, like, I think that's kind of like where we are. So I loved how that's how he ended. I love that phrasing for the end of his post. And like I said, I just really, really love that thought that these families can be both heartbreaking and heartwarming. And, that's kind of his takeaway from his post. And I really relate to that. I don't know how everybody else feels about that, but I do. I feel like that's just like a family thing. So for anybody in chat, by all means, let me know. But I feel like when you think about your family, you fall on that parallel. Like, you're just in that mix. So I liked it. One day I will get into Gundam, I swear, because if I recall correctly, Arya is a bit of a Gundam fan too. So one of these days, I'll have. You know what? Arya got me to do One Piece, so.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I can convert you into Gundam franchise. I'm pretty sure I'm capable. I'm really converted anyone yet. That's only because people haven't really come to me and says, "Hey, Lita, I'm really interested in Gundam. What do you think about it?" And I'll just give them like this marathon answer. No, I'll overwhelm them. I'm glad that you sort of like taken an interest in it. I honestly get extra excited when people take an interest in just any mecha or Gundam series because, well, everybody knows it's like my second favorite genre, mecha. I knew Scott was gonna pick Gundam because it's kind of obvious in some of his posts and stuff that he's done previously. And I really enjoyed Scott's post. I think he did a great job for his first post. Yay! Well done, Scott. And I didn't know what Gundam he was going to talk about, but he was talking about Mobile Suit Gundam. Now, I've not seen the original Mobile Suit Gundam, but currently right now I am actually reading the manga for it, the beautiful hard-covered mangas. I actually will be reading them shortly, later this afternoon, actually. These massive big books. And I liked Gundam. A lot of people find it is very complicated. It is to do with a lot of politics side of things, but in terms of how family, Gundam has a lot of complications when it comes to family. If anybody's seen like Gundam Seed, there is a lot of like family complications. For example, between Atherin and his father, how much his father hated the Earth Alliance, and just it became enraged in hatred over that, for example. So I just always, like to sort of say to people, Gundam is just much more than fighting robots. And I have yet to do a post on that, but Scott covered everything how I feel about it, that there is a lot of family complications. Some people, some of the characters in certain Gundam series really get down to the nitty-gritty and do absolutely anything to, satisfy their own individual needs. And as I've been reading the Mobile Suit Gundam, I could sort of sympathize when he talks about one of the main protagonists, which is Amuro, or Ray. I'm just going to call him Ray because it's easier. How Ray is just basically forced into battle. He gets in a Gundam and that's it. His path is set for him after that. and that now he feels like he has an obligation to like save everybody in the ship, and that it feels like he's on his own, and that in Gundam, family is represented through like the crew, the people that everybody on the whole ship, the crew that people work with. That is what Gundam represents in family, to me. That is, anyway, or everybody that works with each other on the crew, you know, survive every single battle that they do. And I've not seen every Gundam series. There's a lot I have not seen, but that is what I have seen in terms of representation from the Gundam franchise. So well done, Scott. And for that, you get a strawberry frosted donut, because I love strawberry frosted donuts. Seeing as all the donuts I pick are just ones I like. I wouldn't pick like ones that I like don't like. So that is what you get, Scott. Yay! Well done, my friend. All right, moving along, because I'm very time constricted today, and people, it's not fun. So we are on to from pop cultural literature, which is our member Carla, and she talks about, and she's our second member for this August month, to think outside the box, and she covers a cartoony series called Gravity Falls. So I will get Kat to first give her thoughts on Carla's post.
So what I liked about this, and I want to say this Carla's very first one, isn't it?
It's the second one. It's definitely her second one. Yes.
Second one. I'm trying to remember what the first
one.
Oh,
wait. Yes, because last month, no, it was for the month of July was her first one. This is her second one. Yes.
Okay. And so she's on her third one now. All right. So what I liked about this is this is her second one, because I remember, I'm doing my stuff straight, because I was not familiar with her before as a blogger until she joined Owls. So so this one was really interesting for me because it was more of a personal post. So she does talk about Gravity Falls, but she really relates it kind of to not like her. She makes a point of saying like her family situation was pretty stable, but her husband wasn't so much, and she really kind of relates the show to kind of the situation her husband grew up in, and also the situation that his parents grew up in, which is a very interesting thing to kind of see and note. Again, I kind of mentioned earlier that I do a lot of work with family and outreach and things like that, and something that I do see are, I'll have families come in who they grew up in these really, stressful situations, whether there was abuse or neglect or whatever it just was nothing good. And now they're parents themselves, and they're trying to figure out what to do, and it can be hard to not make those same mistakes that the parents made, because that's what they grew up in, that's what they lived in, that's what was considered normal, and even though it wasn't like a good upbringing, that's what they had. So she says, she wanted to choose a series that kind of like talked about these troubled families, and with Gravity Falls, it really talks about really like this. I've never seen this show before, but from her post, I can see that it deals with a family that is just really dysfunctional and not quite there, and doing things that you would not necessarily want to happen in a family. Things that like aren't healthy. And she actually quoted, she said something about the lines of this kind of sends a message that says, if this is what a messed up family looks like, yours is an absolute nightmare and disgrace. Kind of like a thing. It doesn't grasp the struggle that people and children actually experience in these families, because it is hard. Like if you are in one of these situations where things are dysfunctional, not only is it harder when you get older and you're starting to just try to do things out on your own, that's hard in itself because you've gone through so much emotional pain. She even brings up kind of some of the things that his parents went through as kids, or then even as adults, as a result of their as a result of the homes life that they had, what their kind of marriage was like. I mean, it's just like, again, it really, how far-reaching the effects of a hard family life can be. How it really does impact things further on than what you might just see in a quick snippet of a TV show. And then, again, you come from this situation, and then you have kids of your own, and then it's like, where do you go from this? And her husband kind of is kind of like the next stage in this thing, where he's really kind of seems like he's making the break from it, if you will. And he still loves his family, but it's hard because, again, you go through all of these kind of traumatic things. So she makes this point of saying, like, you can kind of see this dysfunction side in the media, but it doesn't really show how far-reaching this topic is. And I definitely agree with it. Like I said, with my job in general, I mean, I see this, and it's hard when families have learned this behavior from their parents and the parents before them, and then one generation kind of gets to the point where they're like, hey, I want to do something different with my kids. And they have to relearn all kinds of like skills and behavior because they didn't have that growing up. So I thought that was a really interesting point. And then I also give her and her husband kudos for willing to be so open about such a rough topic. I know that for anybody who's kind of been in this situation, this post would be very, very meaningful. And for anybody who hasn't been, I really recommend reading this just because it's really informative, so you can understand kind of what other people are going through. So yeah, that's how I kind of felt about that post.
You always seem to just, during this whole stream already, Kat, just sort of take the words out of my mouth, basically, of how I feel. Lots of these posts, I thought Carla always does such a detailed job. Two things. First, this was like a long novel I felt like I was reading. That is not like a bad thing to say. I think this is one of the longest Owls posts I've read, I think. So I had to sort of take my time. Very much take my time, honestly. It took me about half an hour to read hers, just so I could sort of keep up with what she was saying and understand it. And also, Gravity Falls, I have not heard of it. I have not heard of that series until I read her post, because I've heard of the title of the show, but I thought it was a game. I thought it was a video game. I don't know why I thought it was a video game. But yeah, it was good. I like with these Owl tours that, we get to learn a personal aspect from some of our members. And I got to feel that through Carla's post. And I liked her focus on a couple of the characters, the twins, which is Maple and Dipper. And when in her post, she talks about I think it was the director of this show, and how he wanted to represent like a positive relationship or system model for between Maple and Dipper, because I think Maple is the sister. And he talks about how all these representations he wanted to make through the show. And he just goes into so much incredible detail. Like one of the images that she has on her post, which is note the tattered wallpaper in their home. It sort of sends a message like note in the wallpaper on their home. You wouldn't think of anything of it, but it symbolizes something. And I've seen that like in movies and stuff when, like you go into a house, there might be teared wallpaper, tears on the chair. It leaves this sort of representation of not a broken home, but this is a home that there's some serious stuff that is happening. And it's like little things like that give that symbolism, I find. And I'm glad she brought up little things like that. And I liked learning about her and I liked learning about her and her husband as well. I did. So I really enjoyed your post, Carla. I thought it was very, very detailed as usual. And for that reason, let's see, what donut do you get? Because I'm on like a donut hype right now. So you get a blueberry donut, which I've not tried before, but I want to. And I know it'll be epic. So you get a blueberry donut. All right. Next one up. We only have a few more to go, people. 6 or 7. About 6. All right. The next one we have is from one of our youngest members, which is Zoe from Let's Talk Anime. And she covers a show that I've partly seen, and Kat has seen the first season of. It is on My Hero Academia. So, of course, I'm going to let Kat start us off with this one.
So I've watched, and actually at this point, I've watched a little into season 2 now as well. So I was happy to say that when we started talking about this, I knew what was going on. I was like I get references. I will say that, okay, so this is what Zoe kind of did with hers. She started to talk about My Hero Academia, and then she kind of broke it down into different family aspects that we see through different characters, which was a cool thing to see. And I will say that she starts out talking with Izuku, which is, he's kind of like the main character, and his mom. And actually, this is the only thing that I kind of like as far as perspective on the mom, where I was like, I don't know. But it was just because, Zoe sees her as this really, really sweet woman, and I see her as sweet, but I also kind of see her as, okay, with giving a bit of a spoiler away, the premise of My Hero Academia is that we now live in a world where people are born with quirks. And these quirks are basically like superpowers. Basically, we live in the world of the X-Men, except for humans aren't trying to kill them. They're just accepting the fact that we have X-Men, and we're happy about it. And most people start to begin to be born like this. And a lot of people who have quirks, if you want to be the best of the best, then you want to become a hero. And you go around and you help save people and you do all this jazz. But obviously you have a pretty sweet quirk to be able to do stuff. And then some people decide to take the quirks in the opposite way and they become villains. And then you have just everybody who's just doing their regular jobs. Well, Deku, also Izuku, he is born quirkless, which is very rare. So he does not have superpower.
It's sad.
Right? Devastating, but he really wants to be a superhero, and so he's this little, it starts off, he's this little boy, he's probably 4 or something, and he sees his superhero, his favorite superhero, All Might, and he wants to be that, and he wants to be him, and usually about this time, this is when you develop your quirk, and his parents and his mom realizes that nothing's happening. So she ends up taking him to the doctor, and they find out he's quirkless. And he's kind of in a shock of this. And so he's sitting in front of the TV, and he's watching his favorite superhero, and he is devastated, he's kind of devastated, and he says, I can still be a superhero, right? And his mom is like, no. Sorry, life comes at you fast. You're not going to be able to be a superhero. And I don't think that this makes her a mean, she was trying to be a mean soul or anything like this. I think that she was just trying to be realistic and was put in this tough position because, we all, as parents, we always want to tell our, kids that they're the greatest at everything. And I think that she just thought, I can't get this kid's hope up and make him feel like he can be a hero when he doesn't have a quirk and he's not going to get one, and that is just the way that it is. So I don't feel the one thing that I differ is I don't feel like his mom necessarily supported his idea of being a hero from the get-go, because she really didn't think it was possible. Not because she was a bad mom, just because she was just like, it's never been done before. There's never been a hero that didn't have a quirk. If you don't have a quirk and you want to like help save people, you become like a police officer or something. And really, they just show up after the heroes kind of do their thing and kind of collect people. They're not really known for their heroism. So I don't think she was trying to be mean. I just think that she was trying to be realistic. I think that when he gets older and he still holds on to this dream kind of in secret, if you will, he's not the most confident kiddo walking through the doors through middle school, but he does cling to his dream of being a hero, and he does actually make it into like the Hero Academy. And his mom, she makes him his costume, and she's like really supportive of it. And I think for her, it's a thing of like, I think she feels guilty that she didn't from the very get-go say like, yeah, you're going to make it. So I think like a lot of the things that she does, like you see afterward in the shows, I feel like it's her trying to kind of make up for her lack of enthusiasm in the beginning. Again, not because she was like a mean mom, but because she didn't think it was possible. And now I think she just kind of feels a little bad, like, oh, sorry, I wasn't there for you from the beginning. So that was the one thing, like in her, like she goes through a lot of other different dynamics, and that was the only thing that I feel like we kind of had like a little bit of a differing opinion on. But I still think that his mom as a character is an awesome character and great for this post. The other characters that she kind of talked about, with, I don't know how to say her name. Oh, Chaco, I guess.
I don't even know how to say her name. They talk Chaco. I'd be thinking I need a Chaco.
Like she talks about how she wants to become a hero because she wants to support her parents, and I'm like, I'm like, I kudos, girl. Like I get it. That's a very realistic thing. You have a lot of people whose dreams kind of go of just wanting to like better their families and things like that. You have my poor Todoroki. He has just, his dad is just the worst. Like that's all I can say about that. I actually have seen his dad. I'm far enough within season 2 to see his dad, and his dad is just he's that stereotypical dad who couldn't do something himself, so now he's pressuring his child to do what he couldn't do. So his dad is just the worst person ever. No, actually, he's not the worst person ever. I can't think of his name because whenever he comes into the scene, and me and Naja agree with this, I always call him just douchebag. It's Midori's childhood friend. I can't even think of his name, but he's just a douche. He's the worst person ever. Poor Doki's dad is second. And then you have Ida, who is just kind of, he really looks up to his brother and, wants to kind of emulate him, which is also cool. But I do enjoy the show, and I do like the family dynamics. But seriously, Todoroki's dad and douchebag number 1 are just the worst people. Like, I just want bad things to happen to them. I'm going to be honest. Like, everybody else has my heart, but those 2 characters, oh, they are so mean and horrid. Wow. That's how I feel about them. Like,
we got there in the end, folks. We got there in the end. I just knew that I knew how much you love this show. You've become warped like everybody else. I have yet to feel that invested. Not saying that I don't. I've only seen like the first 5 episodes of My Hero Academia. Like courtesy of Naja, we ended up watching the first 5 episodes together. I haven't continued it since then. So obviously, we've only got so much time to watch our animes. I sound really loud in this room, realizing there's no one home right now. I sound really, really loud. I really enjoyed Zoe's posts. Zoe's always, again, she's very methodical. Props to you, Zozo. I should call you Zozo. Forgive me later. I really liked how she broke down about My Hero Academia. I purposely didn't read about Shoto Torodo. How do you say his name? Shoto and Tenya. Tanya, I purposely didn't read those two ones only because I want to find out about later in the series about their past and stuff. Because right now, my impression of one of the Cat's favorite characters, sorry, Cat, is your Shoto Torodoki. I don't like the dude. He's a jerk face to me right now. Forgive me, because I think that's a lot of first people's like impressions about him.
When I first saw him, I was just kind of like meh, kind of a thing. I mean, I think the reason why I didn't like him, like honestly, if that other character who will be renamed Nameless wasn't around, I probably would have hated Todoroki more when I first saw him. But it's just like I have so much hatred for this other character that honestly, like when at first when Todoroki would come into scenes, I'd be like, dude, just move over. I'm trying to hate somebody right now. Like, I'm not telling people
I'm trying to hate somebody right now. Oh God, I'm sorry. That was so funny that you just said that. Oh God. Oh, but I am totally in love with Deku. I love Deku's mom. I just see them sympathizes and just with her son so much about him being quirkless. The moment he found out that he didn't have a quirk, that just broke me. They're just crying together and it's like, oh my God. My soul.
Yeah, I feel bad for her because she wasn't trying to be a mean person. She was just trying to be like, honest.
I got a new favorite anime mom, folks. I got a new favorite anime mom. I don't know much about Aochoki or how you say your name. Oh my God. I love her already. It didn't take that long. So I read up. So sorry, you'll forgive me. I only read up to Odachoki's character. I didn't read. I skipped Shoto and Tenya, and I did read the end of. I did read the bit talking about Class 1A. Just only because I didn't want to be spoiled about them two particular characters' backstories, but. Apart from that, you did a great job as usual talking about family ties in My Hero Academia, and for that you get a salted caramel donut because I'm sure you will love it. So you get a salted caramel donut. It'd be great if I could just reach my hand inside to the computer screen and just give everybody the donut, just leave it on their desk, or like, you can have that for later. It'd be great if we could do that. Anything's possible now in this universe, but all right. So the next post, and the person is not here to listen to our thoughts right now. It is our Naja co-host post, and she talked about the most well-known animes that represent family, I believe, in the truest sense, which is Wolf Children. Oh my God, if nobody's seen Wolf Children, you need to see Wolf Children pronto. Block everything else at your schedule and go watch it. So, Kat, I will let you give thoughts first on Naja's post, which you are going to roast her alive. You go first.
Upset you're going to be when I tell you that I have never seen Wolf Children.
Oh my God! She'll be like spewing. She'll be like, what? I can see it now. Even if she's not here right now, folks, she'll be like, what?
I know. I feel like somewhere, like she's out there and she just got like a shiver. What did she just say? Like someone just said.
What you said? It should be like, I can't. No, right now. I can't handle this.
I feel like I can feel her. It's like I can feel the venom somewhere out there. Someone's talking about me. It's Naja.
Oh God.
Oh, I do need to watch this film though, and then actually like reading her post, I had to kind of like skim because just for the fact of this is a show that I
skimmed the post. She will not like that
because it's a show that I really want to watch. So I was like, I don't want to like super spoil or anything, and I don't quite know how far this is gonna get. So I would be like reading, and then I'd see something that I think that might be kind of spoiler stuff. So then I would like scroll down some like lines and go to the next thing just because I don't want to quite miss anything. But the premise of the show that I'm getting without spoiling things is that it's a story of a single mom, and she's raising her 2 kids, and her kids, after their dad dies, which is sad, and her kids aren't like, you know, your average kiddos. They're kind of cool kids, if you will. And in my defense, Naja did at the very beginning, she's like, this post is going to be having some spoilers. So I knew that I had to be like delicate while reading this. So she kind of talks about how their family kind of becomes their own little pack. You know, they have to really build a place for themselves. And I feel like, again, I can relate to this because my mom was single when for the majority of she raised us as a single parent. Again, my dad, you know, wanted to be there and things like that, but he was deployed all the time. So it's not like he was really there. And ironically, it was me, my mom, and my sister as well. So it was our little pack of 3. So I feel like, you know, I could have and we had our own little world together. So it does, you know, and so for me, family and this idea of just building your own safe place and stuff, I don't know, I just find it really beautiful. And, you know, she talks about how, you know, originally it's just, you know, the mom and dad before the kiddos come, and then it becomes all of them, and then it just becomes the 3 of them because he dies. But it's their home and it's their family, and even though she's going through this, I could not imagine if something happened to Adam, you know, trying to pick up the pieces and things like that. But that's exactly what this mom does. She realizes that even though she is going through a terrible loss, she has to soldier on for her kids and be strong for them. So, I mean, she picks up these kiddos and they move from the city to the countryside. And again, her kids are special. They're kind of like little, if you can't tell from the title, they're kind of like little wolf babies. So she's hoping that this will be a place where they can grow and kind of be themselves, and where she can nurture and be there for them. But it's you know, the idea is that family it's the bonds. You know, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what your family looks like. It's whether or not you feel safe and comforted there and feel like you have a place there. You know, was it hard growing up in as a kid with a single parent? I mean, in some sense it was, but my mom was always just really supportive of me and my sister, and really awesome, and did what she had to do for us. That it was just a normal thing for my sister and I. It was just, yeah, were there times where there was kind of struggles, but it was normal for us, and it didn't matter because we had that bond. And so I like that idea that Naja talks about it. And I do totally, fully anticipate that when I watch this movie, I will cry a lot, because even just reading some of the stuff, like I said, just the idea of, you know, a spouse dying or a loved one dying, that's just so sad. So I'll probably cry when I watch this movie. I know this. I know this as a fact. But yeah. So I will watch it. I promise everybody I will watch it soon. Eventually.
Oh yes, you have to watch it at some point. Oh my god, you're just so you're just missing out. This is like the director is well known of this, which is Mamoru Hosoda. This is like one of his best. Everybody claims actually one of my favorite by him is actually Summer Wars. Actually like Summer Wars, but I kind of might have anticipated Naja might pick Wolf Children. But she always knocks it out of the park with a post. I like how she started it using this little Google image of when you type in family into Google, it just seems this picture perfect.
Right.
Yeah, picturesque way. Oh yeah, it's just the same thing you see: an adult female, a male, and their two smiling offspring. Like it's just like when you type that in Google. And I liked how she started using that, and then from then on, she talks about how it is for Haru losing their father, raising two wolf children. Just forget the wolf bit, that her children are actually wolf children. Forget that wolfy bit. But she's raising just two children in general, and it's not easy. It's not easy, and it's like a lot of hard work. Doesn't matter even if you're a single mum or you have your complete family. And the main message she said is family is family is more than blood, which I'll get to discussing about in my thing when we get around to it. But it definitely highly recommend above anything else to watch Wolf Children, because it is a very emotional watch, and anybody will relate to this in family sense for certain. So Naja, the grand donut that you get this time around, you get a hazelnut donut, which I've not had before, but I've heard it's pretty good. I know somebody that actually likes hazelnut donuts. So you get a hazelnut donut, something nutty, because you're a nutter. No, I'm kidding. You're not really nutted. Nutty Naja. Well, you are for high Q. Nutty Naja for high Q. There it is, folks. There it is. We mentioned high Q in a stream. We always do at some point. So, all right. Moving along. I imagine the people that have stayed here so far right now, I thank you for your patience, for our rambling. You're amazing, amazing people. The next person we have is a fellow member that has returned to us. She's returned from some absence, which is Venus from Japan Talks. And she covers, which is a very interesting choice, and I was very, very all for it. She goes into when family, like working class families again, this is diving into sort of a reverse harem romance show, which I've never heard of. You know how much, folks, I love my unheard of anime. And this was very, very interesting, it was. So welcome back, Venus. Welcome back, girl. And I'll let you take it away, Kat, what you thought of Venus's post.
So I was super excited when I saw that Venus was doing a post this month, because I really enjoy her posts when she does them. Like I've just always, I mean, I enjoy everybody's posts, but I would just say like when she does a post, like I never know what direction she's gonna go in. Like she always surprises me every single time. Like it doesn't matter whether I know the show she's talking about or not. Like it's always a surprise which direction she goes with. And this one was no different. So everyone is talking about like families, like dysfunctional families, strong families, what makes a family, what makes a bond. Like they're all doing this, this kind of stuff, which is cool. But that's kind of the direction I thought of when I was thinking about when I was going to do this. And then here comes Venus out of just nowhere. And I loved even her title. Owl's Bloodline post. Family above all, but what about romance? And I was like, what? Were we talking about romance? I didn't even think of doing something like that. There goes, she just, every time Venus does this. So I was already like pumped to read this from the get-go. I haven't seen this show before, but it didn't matter. Like, I was just interested to see what Venus had to say. And she talks about, you know, making this, she talks about the show. Like, again, I haven't seen it, but there's a character in there called Liren, and he's basically, you know, this super rich and boss of his clan or whatever. You know, he's like that kind of stereotypical, like, do-gooder guy. But, you know, he's part of this powerful family, and with that comes expectations about how he's going to act and how he's going to behave and what he's going to do to lead his family, which is actually, you know, those are actually real pressures that some people have in their lives, depending on what their, you know, what their family values are and what their dynamics are, is making these choices that are going to make their families, you know, proud of them, even if it's not something that they necessarily want to do. So when you like are kind of like looking at this, like the things that he does for the sake of his clan are things that, again, he doesn't necessarily want to do, but he does them because that's what his family wants. Even going so far as going into like a forced like arranged marriage. He even does, you know, he even kind of is like going along for this because it's like this is what his family is kind of expecting and what his family like needs. So isn't this kind of the responsible thing for him to do? And like there's like this whole kind of cool dynamic of, you know, what is the right choice to make in this situation? Do you do what is going to be best for the family or the family name or what your parents are going to think is a good thing, or you know, what's going to propel you forward in that sense, or do you do the things that are going to make you happy? And I couldn't help but think of when I was reading this post. I'm a K-drama fan. I don't know if anyone's seen Airs before.
I have.
Don't you? And you remember when his older brother, when he goes into that marriage, basically so he can like still become the head of the company and everything, but he's in love with that teacher lady, and like that night he like cries himself to sleep because he's gonna be like, she's basically said to him like, this is I can't be like your mistress. I don't know what you want from me. Like, we're just done. We love each other, but it's just you've chosen your family over this relationship, and I understand that. Like, I cried. Like, I was like, that was just sad. And this reminded me of this. And I thought it brings up that interesting question. What is the right choice? You know, even with that show, did he make the right choice? Who can really say? You know what I mean? Like, someone has to take over the company. Someone has to be that person that is what he wanted. But is that going to be enough to make him happy for the rest of his life, being in this arranged marriage with this woman that he doesn't really care for? Will they eventually become to care for each other? I don't know. Like, those are the questions. So I love this post. I was so excited to see Venus back. Yay! That's all I have to say about this was yay, Venus. Like, good on you.
Venus powers! Sorry, this was going through my head. It's just Venus power, like, oh my. Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed your post, Venus. Number one, you've given me a new show to watch, which hopefully I will watch sometime this month now. I love plot lines like this. I'm just a sucker for them. What can I say? And I liked that. I liked you did it was a short but sweet post, as Naja would describe. And I liked that, you know, it may seem that what he's doing is crazy. He has this inheritance sitting on his lap and, you know, just wants to disregard his family, you know, when you go against family with what they want for you. And they're not thinking about your feelings. And, you know, he's, you know, thinking about, you know, what he wants to do, and there's nothing wrong with going against your family, defying what they want. You know, your happiness is the most important thing, in my opinion. So, you know, I can't wait to watch this anime now. I can't wait to watch. And you know, just because it's cliche, like Lee Ren's the character that I'm talking about, or Venus is talking about, you know, it is kind of cliche in what, you know, has been left on his lap. But, you know, you think these people that have got their future already set out for them already, it's, you know, there is more than that. There is more than behind all this. So I would hate to be in that situation, you know, people who have to put up with arranged marriages and families like with, you know, like lots of money and that. I would hate that. I wouldn't trade that for like what I have now. So great post, Venus. Great comeback. So for that reason, you get a cherry donut. I've not had one before, and I've been very, very curious. So you get a cherry donut. I hope you like cherries. You have to like them because I gave you it.
I've had a cherry donut before, and it's amazing. I didn't even like
yummy.
it. I love this donut. I really did. It was so good.
Yes. All right, moving along. We are nearly down to the last. Let me see. Hold on. 3. We're down to the last 3 because Anime Palooza, I know she skipped out on this month due to personal reasons. So the next one, funnily enough, we have arrived. It's mine. But I didn't do a post actually for this month. No, if I didn't do a blog post, oh, where is it then, Lita? I did a video instead. I just felt like doing a video. Because this was a topic that a lot of people would relate to, and originally I was going to pick originally I had picked the anime Witchblade to talk about for this, but I decided to save it and I went with another series that me and Kat love, which is Fairy Tail. So, and I thought I always wanted to do a video for Owls I was kind of waiting for the right time, and sort of videos are an easier way, I want to say, to consume information, definitely. So I'm glad I got to do the video. I had been kind of in a YouTube slum for a little while around then, and this was a good motivation to do it. So I love Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail is like one of my favorite mainstream animes ever. It's probably one of the only mainstream animes I ever got into. And Fairy Tail represents something with family that is close with me, which is, you know, family, you know, friends are your family. That is what I feel Fairy Tail represents so well. And I talk about a couple of things to do with family that are quite touching. I talk about one of the relationships between Gildarts and not to his knowledge, he actually had a daughter, which is Kana. And that moment is really touching when she's afraid to tell Kana, to tell Gildarts that she is his daughter. The moment that she finally plucks up the courage to do it, it's really, really touching. And I also talk about another character called Altair. She's classed as a sort of villain. I guess you could say baddie, but she has a very sad like backstory. She, you know, doesn't realize, she thought she was abandoned the whole time, and she wasn't. That the facility that took in her daughter, because her mum, which is such a great name, which I say in my video, takes her daughter to a facility to try and, you know, make her well again, because, you know, her daughter Ilti is very sick. And then what happens, the two is parted because the people at the facility, you know, actually experiment on Ilti. She's only like a kid. And then they tell her that, you know, her daughter, I think her daughter died. So all this time, Ilti sort of took the wrong path and thought that all this time that her daughter was thought that her mum didn't care about her and abandoned her. That's what the people at the facility brainwashed her with. So it's nice in the end that she finally learns that Altair, that she's loved, and I feel like that's what happens to some people maybe out there in the world, that they feel like their parents didn't love them, or if, you know, say you're adopted and you don't know a thing about your real parents and you feel like they didn't care about you, and then you find out all these reasons there could be, and you find out that they did really care about you. And you never know. You never know with families. Families always have their secrets. And it's just represented so well through, like, you know, the little guilds that Fairy Tail has, that, you know, especially Fairy Tail, the main guild, you know, everybody in there is family. friends are family. That's all I really wanted to. That's all I really wanted to stress in my video. And yeah, I'm just glad I got to talk about Fairy Tale. I felt like there's really nothing more to say on that, honestly. So, friends are family. Friends are family.
I was pumped that you chose Fairy Tale. And I thought it was cool that you did a video. I was like, ooh, look at this. Like, coming out nowhere with the video. So I thought that was cool. And then I love Fairy Tale. I really do. And I do think that they do a great job of showcasing, like, friends or family. You know, when you think about, like, animes that you'd want to be a part of, I think Fairy Tale would have to be
yes,
fully
agree.
Like, yeah, to, like, be in, like, a guild. I don't know, it'd be so cool. like, that would be my, jam. And I have actually really enjoyed how they've done all the backstories for, like, the different characters and things like that to see where they come from.
Yeah, they knock it out of the park with all the backstories they're explored. Right.
Yeah, I just thought they've done an excellent job. And to be honest, not every, like, mainstream anime has been very good about that. Like, sometimes their stories are, like you look and you're like, okay, I thought that was going to be a little bit better than that, and I just had to watch 5 episodes leading up to this when we could have been talking about the main plot. Like, so I feel like these just became filler episodes. But I feel like Fairy Tail has been very good about, like, all their backstories and things like that being really, like, fundamental to the show's progress, and then also really showing why each of them have ended up in a guild and making their own family due to, like, their different situations. So I was pumped about everything about this. like, yes. Oh, so does this mean I get to give you a donut?
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you could give me a donut if you really wanted to.
I will give you a donut that I would hope that you would enjoy. But at this coffee shop that I go to, they make these double mocha donuts, and they're just like, yeah, they're amazing.
I'm going. You don't know how I'm reacting to. You don't know what my reaction is.
Right?
What if I tell you I hate coffee?
Oh no, it's not a coffee. It's a chocolate.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
You call it a double mocha, but it's just mocha, and it is amazing. And that's saying something because I'm not usually like. I like sweets, but I don't like anything like too sweet. Do you know what I mean? So I usually don't do like a double chocolate type thing because it's like too much sugar. But somehow this hits the correct balance, and it is like their donuts are like never hard or dry or anything. They're just like these perfect chocolatey goodness donuts. So that is what I will give you because I love Fairy Tale and I love that you did a video. So that's like my
favorite. All right. I get a mocha donut, guys. All right. We are down to the very, very last 2 now, people. The next one is from one of our members, Andrea, from All Andreliana, her blog, and she talks about a Kyoto animation show that I have having the pleasure of seeing yet, which is Miss Kobayashi's Maid Dragon. That show has gotten a lot of attention. I know a lot of people love it. So what did you think of Andrea's post, Kat?
This is like another one where I have never seen it. I was actually like surprised with this post because I don't know if I'm thinking of the wrong anime or not. But see, I have seen like mentions of this like Dragon Maid thing, and I don't know if it's just because I've gone on the wrong side of Tumblr or what. But like, I thought that this was like some sort of like a harem kind of an anime. Am I thinking of a different anime?
No, this show is very slice of life. It's a slice of life show.
So when I was even reading this post, I was super confused. I was like, what's happening here? Why is everything so nice? Because like the stuff that I've seen about whatever this other show is has to do with this serpent lady person, but it's like more of a like I said, it was the wrong side of Tumblr where I felt.
What were you looking at then?
So,
oh my god!
Yeah, when I saw the title of this, I was like, oh, like I was going in this like a little worried because I was like, okay, this is an odd choice.
No,
for
this is a very anime, very friendly slice of life.
Right, like I was like, oh, and then I like read the post and I was like, I don't know if I'm thinking of the right show here because this seems like really nice and normal. But her pose is definitely so, which I was happy about because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get into picture wise when I clicked on this. But I do think that you know, she talks it off with talking about blood is thicker than water and you can't choose your family. And kind of how these things kind of like balance out. So you can choose your own family, and blood connections don't mean everything. But it's still like your family does become more than your bloodlines. You know, it is kind of who you choose in a sense, or people who choose you, if you want to put it that way. But at that same time, you know, sometimes these people can also help you to kind of reconnect with your own family and your own kind of like bloodlines. And that doesn't mean that you like have to, but I think it does kind of find, you know, some semblance of peace. I feel like I have to say this for Naja, but
Uh-oh. I believe our cat has frozen. Oh dear, she left off with, I feel like I have to say this for Naja. Oopsie, she might, all right, she might return to us. She might have to be, I don't know, she might have to be blocked out. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties we've had previously with Cat, but for when she comes back, I'll just tell you guys briefly what I thought about Andrea's post. I've not seen
everything she did.
Oh, there you are. Oh, there you are. You're back. You know, you froze there for a second.
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Yes, you did. That's all right. That's all right. I thought I lost you then. You're all right.
Here now. Now I'm curious as to how this will. Sorry, I think it might be because I'm like doing like our Twitter stuff too. So I didn't even notice that I froze because I was typing a Twitter thing.
That's all right. That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. Uh-oh, and now I think she's completely froze herself. Sorry, folks. Yep, she's completely froze herself. Oh, hang on. She's rejoined. Are you there, Kat?
There. I see you. Can you see me?
Yeah, no, I can't. No, I can't see you, dear. Sorry.
How about now?
Yeah, yes, I can see you now. I have no idea what you probably would have just said the moment your screen froze. So I have no idea. Do you want to start again with what you were saying about Andrea's post?
I was going to say, what was oh yeah, it said, I think the last thing you might have heard me say was my confusion as to what show I was talking about.
Yes, we went off of that, and it's got nothing to do with like
the
all these serpent things that you thought of me, but like, you thought it might be like one of those like ecchi shows. It definitely is.
I really did think. I was so confused.
Yeah,
I've
not seen the show, but it's definitely not ecchi. No.
Once I read her post, I was like, oh wait, this isn't what I thought it was. This seems really sweet and innocent. But she does talk about, you know, just how you choose your own family and how, like I was saying, like, you know, I grew up in the family that I have, and then she talks about how you create your own families later. Like, I married my husband, and we have kids, and now we have our very own little family. Like, you just go on. And then I said that I had to say this for Naja. It was short, it was sweet, and it was to the point. It was quick reading. Naja would say that. So, well, I'm gonna hand it over to you, Lita, because I'm My daughter has a quick question. What?
That's
Why aren't you sleeping?
All right,
What's the
so
matter?
I really enjoy, like Kat said, Andrea's post was short but sweet, and talking about Miss Kobayashi, the main character, that she works alone, she gets drunk and goes home, there's nothing more to her life, and then she meets these individuals called Toru and Kana, and then kind of life, they bring purpose to her life again. And I guess life for her is not so boring, and that's kind of the premise of the story and what it focuses on. So eventually I would love to sit down and watch this little slice of life show. I've heard really cute things. I've seen all like these little cute gifts around a bit, and yeah, hopefully I get a chance to watch this show. So Andrea, you did really well. I really liked your little short sweet post, and for that you get let's see, what donut do you get? I will give you a lemon donut, because I've always been curious about trying a lemon donut. So you get a lemon donut, and I believe Scott from Mechanical Reviews is with us. Hello, Scott. Yes, we are still going because we started late, but we're actually on the last post to talking about now. We're on the very last one. So the last person that joined our August blog tour a bit late is a fellow Aussie blogger like me. She's from Two Happy Cats, which is Steph, and Steph did an interesting choice for this for family. She actually goes into the vicinity talking about related to LGBT. She focuses on a certain gay manga author and one of their mangas, which is called My Brother's Husband. So I will let Kat give her thoughts on what she thought of Steph's post.
All right, hold on. I'm trying to find my note on that one. That was the last one I read. Hold on 1 second. Nadia, it's bedtime. Okay, well, why don't you go lay down and then I'll come get you.
I don't want to be alone.
I won't be alone.
She won't be long. Your mum will be like 5 minutes. We'll be done in 5 minutes.
I asked her, I'm like, why aren't you sleeping? Yeah, I was like, you're supposed to be in bed. And she was
so cute. You should tell her mommy will be there in 5 minutes, because that's how long it'll be. 5 minutes.
I said I'm almost done, but she's just so cute. I don't want to be alone.
Aww.
All right, so yes, going into this post, so this was another one that surprised me. Didn't see it go in this direction, but still thought it was cool. I did not know that. I guess I'm not like super. Like I do know like some like kind of like BL stuff, but I'm not like super like I didn't know that this was one of the most influential like authors or anything like that. So I was like, well, that's kind of cool. But this was like an interesting dynamic because it talks about like acceptance in family, and it follows this character and his daughter, and who is visited by this guy Mike, and Mike is the husband of Yachi's twin brother. So it's just like a weird. Well, it's not weird, but it's like for them, I think, or for like this show, is kind of like that's like the premise of this, like kind of like with this dynamic, because his brother's kind of recently passed away, and Yachi is really like meh about Mike, and doesn't like want him to call him brother, and doesn't want to leave him alone with Kana, and like just isn't having anything about his life. Which is like sad because it's like, man, this was your brother's husband, you know? You should kind of consider this family. It kind of goes back to this thing of just because you're like married into something or something like that doesn't mean that someone's gonna necessarily accept you. But he slowly does begin to accept him. And which I think is like a beautiful sentiment. But I think it does kind of show where we are in society today, where we're not always accepting about things that we're not always accepting in our family about things that break from what we consider to be the norm. I hope someday we can, move past that. But it's, you look at this and it's sad. Like this is your brother's husband. Like obviously he's grieving. He deeply loved your brother. He's lost him and he's sad. So you'd think that you'd be able to kind of like understand that grief. I think eventually that, I assume that that's something that kind of helps bring them together, with them both working through their grief. But it just shows that it's, just because you're family doesn't mean that you're always accepting of each other, and that's kind of a bummer. So I like this post, and I like what she did, and again, it was something that threw me for a loop. I didn't expect this coming.
Oh.
What did you think?
What did I think? I thought absolutely nothing. No, I'm kidding. So Steph's post was actually, I know we're not supposed to pick favourites for every month, but it seems we do. Steph's post was actually my favourite for this month. So well done, Steph. You'll get a special donut in a minute. It was really interesting. What made it my favourite was she related to talking about the director, which is Gengoro Tamagi. I've never heard of him. I didn't even know he was like a most influential gay manga author. That was something interesting. And that he was very influential in that Japan is more accepting of men who are like who are older and that are gay and in their sexuality identity. And that I liked how she talked about in this manga, that I think who I'm trying to refer to again, it was a Ryoji is not accepting of Mike, his what was it again, husband's brother. And also she explores 3 strong themes in this post. She did really well combining that. Then she talks about the grief side of things. Japan deals with their grief very differently. I have come to learn since getting into like anime and just having the interest in Japanese culture, and that, Japanese people aren't like, they're not so open, I guess, as I would be, that they kind of do put on a front. They do, and that, it takes a lot for them to finally state their feelings. And that it says in here, Yatashi explicitly states in the manga that he never grieves, not when his parents died and not when Ryoji dies. This is the manga author. He doesn't grieve, so this is an interesting aspect to learn. And that also, then she talks about something that is currently happening in Australia, which I can agree with, which right now there is this thing going on to try and legalize gay marriage here. And right now there's this massive postal survey thing that's gone out to heaps of thousands of Australians, and that people have to have the right to vote yes or no. It's like this giant survey before the government will go to Parliament and decide to legalise it or not. This is something that has been ongoing for such a long time. And I'm honestly, myself, I am really tired of hearing about it. I just want, the government wasted billions of money. They've wasted over 1.8 million taxpayers' money on doing this vote, where that money could have been used to go elsewhere. Could have been used on the health system and that, but no, they decided to waste it on a massive postal survey to see what the whole country thinks. So I just think, I'm tired of hearing about it. Just bloody legalize the thing. Give it to the people. Just do it. Just who cares? I honestly, like, just give it to them. They don't have to keep hearing about it, and then everybody's happy, because it won't really affect me at the end of the day. It's those people. I would say those people who are, who are gay or whatever, whatever sexual orientation, they just want that. So Australia, give it to them. Legalize marriage. Just end the turmoil. I just, I don't think I can emphasize that anymore, honestly.
Just
and
do it.
I love that she brought that up. I did. And I just do it. So, Steph, you were my favorite post for this month, and for that reason, you get my ultimate favorite donut ever, which is probably the simplest donut in this whole entire thing that I've given out. I really love just an ordinary cinnamon donut because I used to go to town a lot with my nan and my mum and sister, and we used to go to this donut van, and these donuts would be piping hot, these sugar and cinnamon donuts, and I just love them to death. And I miss them so much. And yeah, you get a favorite simple cinnamon donut, classic donut. So, folks, that concludes our August end of live stream. Finally, we are at the end, all 14 posts. Oh my God. I feel like, yes, this just happened. And I feel like my voice is definitely definitely going. I
feel it too.
I know. Right now, as a little update, we always give you guys a little update at the end of these live streams of what's going on with owls. So as of last month, I believe it was, we had a special interview with a particular site that I reached out to, which is called Yata Tachi. And we will link everything that I say down in the down bar below for you. They interviewed us, owls, of what we do in that, and our lovely President Kat was the one that ended up doing the interview. So you guys can go check that out when I put it in the link down bar below later. That is something exciting that happened. Definitely have been getting a lot of attention since then. So it's, that's been a really good opportunity. This month we are covering the theme treasures, where that is talking about, we are covering about mental health and mental illness right now. We're nearly about halfway through our tour right now, I believe, nearly halfway through. So if you want to check out the September blog schedule, that will be linked down below. I really should start linking these things properly. I really should. I really should. As of probably this weekend or in the next couple of days, there will be a new little feature post, a new feature page on the Owls blog site, which I have been currently editing and stuff to go up. It is a about us page. It's about the team and all the team. You can get to know our members a lot more. So that will be going up in the next couple of days. I feel like that's all for right now for what is going on with us. And as usual, if you would like to be a part of ours, join us, find out more about us, you can just, click on our blog site, go to our contact us or contact page, fill in the form, and somebody will get back to you shortly. If not later, hopefully not later. We have the usual Twitter and Facebook. We are at Owls Bloggers. And yeah, that's really all from us, really. And we didn't even do an introduction of who we are, actually. I forgot. So I'm known as Lita. There's three of us that run these end of live streams. There's Lita, Kat, and Naja. We're all fellow bloggers. I'm a blogger and a YouTuber. And yeah, so that is all I have to update you guys on, and all the links are down below. Do you have any last words, Kat, before we part ways?
Go check out the current tour that we're on. Like Lita said, we already have some posts out there, so go check them out. And we will see you on our next live stream, which will be kind of quick because we'll be doing the live stream for treasure. So we'll see you then at the end of the month again. So yeah, look forward to that.
All right, we'll see you guys then. Hopefully we'll have Naja with us then, because I know she really loves the current blog tour that we're doing right now. The subject is very meaningful to her. So hopefully we'll have all three of us lovely ladies of ours later, as Mr. Blade Ninja described to us earlier. So until the next time, folks, See you later. Owls are
Bye,
out.
everybody.
Bye.